So, Dr. Wafik El-Deiry, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Your Voice, Your Future. You know, you spent your career studying cancer at the highest level. What led you to even begin looking at COVID and its potential long-term effects? Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you. But
It's okay if you don't see me. We just want to hear you.
yes, thank you. So I'm an academic oncologist, a physician scientist who has been involved with discovering a number of things about cancer and treatments for cancer. And when the COVID pandemic started, I became interested in whether there were strategies we could use to reduce the ability of the virus to infect human cells. And so we did a little bit of research on that initially back in 2020. And at the time, we discovered a class of drugs used to treat cancer that can reduce ACE2 expression. ACE2 is the protein on cells that the virus uses to infect the cell. We did some work to try and learn about the severity of the infection and things that could be measured in the blood based on our expertise with the innate immune system. We wondered right from the beginning whether the COVID virus could have any links to cancer. We know, and we've known for many decades, that a number of viruses can cause cancer, including human papillomavirus, hepatitis virus, Epstein-Barr virus, and others. And the way they do this is they target proteins in our cells that we use to keep cancer from developing. So one of these proteins is called p53, and I've been studying p53 since the early 1990s. And p53 is a gene that we all have that normally suppresses cancer in our body by preventing damage from all sorts of exposures to things that cause mutations and so on. It's also the most commonly mutated gene in human cancer. Some people inherit a mutated copy, and this can run in families. It's rare, fortunately, but those individuals carry a high risk of developing all kinds of common cancers at a younger age. And so we've known for a long time, we've learned a lot about cancer just from studying how viruses cause cancer. And one of the ways they do it is they produce proteins that suppress, block, or get rid of p53. And so I wondered right from the beginning whether the COVID virus might have any effects on p53 that we've studied for a long time. We've studied how it works.
What did you find alarming?
Well, we uncovered that if you overexpress the spike protein in human cells, this attenuates or reduces the ability of the p53 protein to turn on other genes that suppress cancer. And also, when we overexpress the spike protein from the COVID virus or the COVID vaccines, it appeared to make the tumor cells more resistant to different chemotherapeutic agents. This was unexpected and deserving of further study because, if you wanted to develop a good vaccine, you'd want to make sure you boost the body's immunity against the infection, but you want to limit any sort of collateral damage to how the host protects itself from developing cancer.
So, you know,
And we
there's been a huge spike in cancer since the pandemic and COVID. What is it that you found, and what does it actually mean? The risk, the uncertainty, or something more concrete in the time that we have left to tell us what you found, and when you put this information forward, the kind of response you get from the medical and scientific community.
Yeah, so I will tell you, as far as population studies in the United States, we don't really have any good, reliable studies that have looked at long-term outcomes from the COVID mRNA vaccines. And most studies around the world have been limited to people who have gotten, at most 3 shots. You're not going to find any good papers on the population level around the world. Now, about 9 months ago, I was invited to serve on this advisory committee to look into COVID immunizations, and I was interested in links to cancer. And so I dug into this and found almost 70 publications that have reported over 300 cases of cancer around the world where cancer is developed close to where the shots or multiple shots were given, and they happened after these shots. And so for me, that was something that was really not expected. And this came at a time when a number of other things that these mRNA vaccines were doing were also unexpected in terms of how long they last in the body, their effects on our immune system, among other effects that they were found to have. So we put this out there to the advisory group. We published a review on this by January of this year. And the journal where it was published was under a cyber attack at the time, so people couldn't even read the paper that we published. And I personally have come under attack for a couple of years now with some of our earlier work linking effects of the spike protein to p53. Really, all we were saying is that we see some things that we wouldn't expect. We need to study them more. And I think that that's what we do in science. We make observations and generate ideas about what might be going on, and then we test these ideas. And that whole process is being shut down on social media through what appear to be concerted attacks on individuals. And it's not just the attacks, it's the consequences. They not only smear the reputation of individuals who are reporting on a certain narrative that they don't like, they also contact the government, they contact employers, they contact journals, and they essentially try to destroy the careers of individuals who are asking questions or trying to make sense out of things that are observed. And I think there's a problem with that. And I can tell you there's a lot of work that needs to be done that hasn't been done to look into these connections between the COVID mRNA vaccines and things they do in the body, including potentially promoting cancer. I believe that individuals, and I think this is widely known, we all have a different risk of disease in general, and that goes for cancer as well. So, not everybody who gets a vaccine has a high risk, but, 6 years into this, we really need to know a lot more than we do so that we can make decisions about what's best for us in our bodies. The whole idea of informed consent, I think, has been missing, and I think, that needs to be corrected.
You know, I think you make an excellent point about who gets to really talk about this and this larger issue, who gets to question dominant medical narratives. Even if the risks are uncertain or still being studied, you strongly believe that the public deserves to hear all the credible concerns. And as a physician and scientist, you feel you have a responsibility to your peers, to your patients, and to the public when you see something that doesn't sit right. We appreciate your bringing that to our attention, and I hope you have you back on the future to talk about this in a more deeper and longer forum, and I appreciate your writing this and thanking you so much for joining us. I wish we had more time, but you know that's the way it goes sometimes. But thank you for what you do, and thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank our earlier guests for joining us as well. I'm Armstrong Williams. Thank you for watching. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Real Armstrong Williams. Your voice, your future matters.